Today is June 19th, 2019. We actually just had more rain and thunderstorms move through here in Marshall, Indiana. Got about a half inch, just what we needed, right? Just joking. Anyway, seems like the most popular question I've actually gotten lately is what is the status of the seed crop and what is pricing going to be? So to answer this directly, for us here at Purple Ribbon Seeds, everything was planted, and from what I've seen so far, it looks like the seed crop is pretty good for both corn and soybeans. So that's a good thing. If I dig into that a little bit further, both crops were planted and there was actually time in between plantings, and that's important from our perspective because it gives us some diversity in terms of weather events for the rest of the growing season. From a seed industry perspective, there were many seed corn production companies that probably were not as lucky as we were. And if you actually roll back about 4 weeks ago, the nation's seed corn crop was only about 30% planted. So I don't have updated numbers on this, but I suspect most of the seed corn was planted and went in the ground. And that means that the areas that were way behind, their entire seed crop was probably planted in like a week. And those things are going to be kind of on my mind as we move through this season. Because part of the issue I'm seeing as I'm driving around outside of our production area and seeing other seed corn production fields is that they were planted in too close a proximity to commercial fields. And so most years, most of the time, the planting of the seed fields happened long enough after the commercial crop that the two fields would not be reproducing at the same time. So that means the commercial crop would be pollinating way before the seed corn crop would probably be silking. There were a lot of areas that just didn't have that luxury this year. So here's an aerial photo that I have of two fields with borders around them. And these are not seed fields, these are actually right out in front of the corn plant. But if they were, and the field bordered in red was planted the same day as the field bordered in blue, there could be an issue from a reproduction timing issue. I actually saw two fields planted in the same fashion just this last week. Both were cornfields, one was seed corn, one was commercial corn, and they were both at the B4 stage. So because of the spring, because of what I'm seeing as I'm driving around the country, if I were to act like a seed buyer next year, I would probably be really diligent in asking for quality specs on the seed lot for the specific seed that I'm being assigned by the brand of your choice. So with most companies, they have the minimum warm germ posted right there on the analysis tag. You know where it's at. They also probably have minimum cold germ, and they should have the basic purity of the seed. So the industry standard for these things is somewhere like 93% minimum warm germ, 85% minimum cold germ, and a total 4% genetic purity, or impurity in this case, which would be a combination of outcrosses, selfs, talls, things like that. So as a company, our corn germination standards internally are 95% warm germ, 90% cold germ. We also perform a saturated cold test just to kind of help gauge seedling vigor, so that number is available too. I personally like to see the total number of outcrosses and selves to be less than 1% because we believe that anything under 1% is not yield affecting. However, actually achieving that in the real world is sometimes not possible. So you're probably going to have a hard time getting some of that genetic purity information out of your seed supplier, but those numbers are important because they can be a hidden issue. So I've seen seed corn that's as high as 8% impure, and if those outcrosses are really tall, those tassels would be visible in the field and it wouldn't look uniform. And if you tell me that's the refuge corn, most companies actually choose refuge varieties that are either the same height as the main component or shorter for this exact reason. So those are actually usually tall outcrosses. So anyway, there's a lot to think about right now in this growing season from a seed supply and a quality issue, and that makes some of these pricing aspects of seed corn a bit of a moving target, but we'll be kind of keeping track of this as the season progresses. As always, if you have any questions or anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'll talk to you soon.